Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today we are gonna do a best and worst of Covergirl. So Covergirl, if you didn't know or if you didn't hear, recently became cruelty-free. Now there is some discussion of, well, their umbrella brand, one of their brands still sells in mainland China, so maybe they're not fully cruelty-free, but Covergirl itself is cruelty-free, so take with that what you will. If you're super hardcore cruelty-free and you don't want to agree that it is, that's your prerogative. But I think it's a great move and a very exciting move. So I have all CoverGirl on my face, every single thing except for my eye primer. And that's a story I'll get to in a minute. But everything else on my face is CoverGirl. I am so excited. I haven't really done like a full face of a brand. I think I've kind of done once, but this really truly is. So I'm excited. I found some products that I absolutely adore, and I've also found some products that I really don't think are worth it. I'll try to, as I'm going, let you know which are like my top 5, and I'll definitely go back to it at the end. I figure there's probably more people out there now that it is cruelty-free, curious about the brand and wondering where to start, so that is what I'm here for. It goes without saying, this is not sponsored. This, I would say about 60% of this stuff I bought myself, and the other 40% they sent to me through the past year, and I've just kind of collected, used, etc. Some of these are newer to me and I've tried more recently, so I'm gonna give you at least my best thoughts on them, but I might have to update this in a month or so as I use them more. But as I always say, just because something was sent to me, I always give you the good and the bad, especially if the bad is really bad, I'll definitely tell you. So before we get into it, I hope that you will subscribe before you leave. And well, why would you be leaving already? I don't know, slow down, Jess. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, you gotta let me know if I get lipstick on my teeth because I just have a feeling I might throughout this video. So let's start with the order I did my makeup in. How about that? Because like I said, everything is CoverGirl. I'll have links and prices for everything on the screen and down below, etc. So, okay. The primer I put on, and one that I actually do think is nice from CoverGirl, is their TruBlend Skin Primer, and it's their Illuminating one. They have, I think, 4 of these. I've also liked their pore filling one, but this was the one out of all of the ones they sell that I liked the most. Now, keep in mind, if you don't like illumination or like a dewy look on your skin, you wouldn't like this. You might opt more for the pore filling, those kinds of products. They have a skin smoothing one as well, and then one other one, I can't think of what it is. But this one I like. Is it my favorite illuminating primer of all time? No, but I do think it's nice. It's not, there's nothing bad. I have nothing bad to say about it. I just feel like I have other ones I like just slightly more. I think the reason it's not ever gonna be my favorite is because of the smell. It has this very fragrant smell that I'm just not a big fan of, but I like it. I have it on my skin today, and I'll show you me applying each of these things. So with this, I like to put it on skin that I've already moisturized. So I already have a moisturizer on my skin when I put it on today. But I do think it adds definitely a look of dewiness, but it's not glittery or anything like that. And that's why I like this. I don't think this is gonna extend the wear time of your foundation. So if you're wearing a foundation that you know doesn't last long, this is not gonna help the situation. It just helps if you've got drier skin to kind of give it more of a glowy look. Does that make sense? That's why I also put a moisturizer on, because I don't think this is crazy moisturizing either. I'm slightly under the weather, so my voice is gonna get raspier as we go. But this is definitely in my top 5. This is their CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir. I actually bought a new one because I liked this packaging more. It has SPF of 20. I wear the shade 705, and I think it is a perfect shade match for me, like unbelievably perfect, especially right now in the winter time. But this is just such a comfortable foundation. This is one of those foundations you can reach for and know, like, it's not gonna really make your skin look crepey. It's just comfortable, and it has some decent ingredients in it. It's got vitamin E, B3, B5. It's got the SPF of 20, like I said. It's oil-free, and I just feel like I put it on and I never need to worry that I'm gonna have a bad skin day, because I never have a bad skin day with this. Now, is this high coverage? No, it's more like medium coverage if you put it on like 2 layers. Like on my cheeks, I usually do a 2nd layer because I've got freckles and just kind of pigmentation that I like to kind of make a little bit more even before I put on bronzer, blush, etc. But anyway, I love the packaging as well. They recently redid it to look like this. And I don't really know. There's something about this that gives me a good feeling. And I haven't felt this way about a CoverGirl foundation in a while. So I really love this and highly recommend it. I think if you have oily skin, you won't like it, but normal to dry, I think you will love it. So the next thing I put on my face was this concealer. This one is a newer product to me. It's their TruBlend It's Lit. I bought it within the past week and I've been playing with it. It's one of those pen style things where you twist it up and it comes out, and I just like to swipe it onto my under eye region and a little bit farther out, and I just use a sponge to blend it out. This stuff is just okay. I think it is not a bad concealer, I've certainly tried a lot worse, but I just don't think it's worth running out and getting because I think it slightly brightens, it covers a little bit, but that's about it. I don't think it stays in place a super long time. It definitely settles into fine lines. And I just didn't feel wowed by this. And I feel like there's plenty of good concealers at the drugstore that you can opt for over this one that it's not worth seeking out on its own. So the next thing I put on was this CoverGirl Advanced Radiance Powder. Again, they redid the packaging of this recently with a different sticker, really. Actually, and it might not have been purple before. I think it was like silver. But I bought myself a new one. This one is in the shade 110. I think it's a decent match. I think it might be slightly light for me, but I'm not putting so much on that it really matters. I think this is a good powder to soak up oil, but I don't think this is like an amazing, it's not really like a powder foundation where you're gonna have like a lot of coverage. This really is more just for oil soaking or even just setting like, especially your under eye. That's how I used it today. And I also set little areas of my face as well with a smaller brush. I'm just not a big fan of pressed powder. I don't have super oily skin, so I don't have a need for it, but I think this one's okay. I know that some people really, really like this for setting the under eye. I think it's decent for it, but it's never gonna be my go-to. Next, I did my brows. I think CoverGirl's brow game has come a long way, and my favorite, and I could not find it when I was getting ready earlier, and then of course I just found it, the CoverGirl Ultra Fine Brow Pencil in Soft Brown I've been using. It's literally gone. And I was at a store near me called Meijer buying a bunch of this stuff the other day. And I was looking for this and they didn't have my shade. And I was looking like, I was ravaging looking for it. And I'm like, I really need another one. I have like this much left. So today I did not use this because I couldn't find it. And I used a different CoverGirl brow product on my brows that I actually also really like. So the brow pencil itself, I love, obviously. I'm like dying to buy a second. I think I might just go online on Ulta and buy like 2 of these so I have a backup because it's my favorite brow pencil. And it might just be that the shade is just right for me. It's soft brown, but I love it. The color builds, but you can really brush it out with this and it like spreads really easily and it stays in place. I really like it. So the product I used today, however, is their, well, I don't see the name, but it's basically their brow gel or their brow pomade. It's like a cream in here. You can flip the lid, pop it out, and then there's this little brush, and then you can put it back in there to store it. This is actually pretty good. This was my first time using it. I wasn't even gonna talk about it today, but I was like, well, I used it. So I think it did a great job. It was really easy to get the color to spread throughout. I definitely would brush off the brush onto like a washcloth or a towel or something near me so that I didn't go straight in with it because it can be a lot. So I thought it was pretty darn good. It spread easily. It's staying on really well. It was just easy to work with. It was honestly, it only took me a little bit longer to do it this way than it would with just a pencil. And that's huge because sometimes pomades can take a while to get just right. So kudos to CoverGirl on this one because I actually really, really liked it. So a face product I didn't use, but I wanted to mention that I just think is not quite worth it. It's their TruBlend Pre-Touching Palette. Now, this is one of those products that you can get on your finger on a brush and put in certain areas that you're trying to color correct. But first of all, I'm just not a big color corrector myself, but I played with this a couple of times and it just doesn't do enough to actually color correct. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shears out and it's kind of oily and it doesn't stay the way you'd need it to truly color correct. So like the green, my nose is red. So a few times I tried it where I put it on my nose, kind of pat it in, and then I would try to go in with foundation on top and the green would just be gone. Like, and not like where obviously you don't want the green to show through, but it wasn't even covering. My nose looked the same with or without the green on top of it. Does that make sense? So I just don't think it's worth even your money. It looks cool, but I don't think it's actually doing anything, and it'd be a step you're doing that's not really doing anything. One thing I just recently picked up was their TruBlend Serving Sculpt palette. What does that mean? But it's in the shade Bloom Babe for fair to light skin tones. I was pretty impressed with this. So I have it on my face today. The lights usually wash out my bronzer a bit, but I think it looks really, really nice. And like I said, there are a couple options here. And they also have ones that look like this that I think were mostly all highlights. So I wanted to try this one because it covered all of them, because really CoverGirl they have their cheekers, which is like a line they've had forever. I know like Emily Noel loves them and I think that's so awesome. I've tried it and I do think they are nice. I just don't have any in my collection currently and I wanted to try something new. But those are nice and they have like a lot of colors. If you really look in there, there's actually a lot of options for like the smaller cheekers. Then they have like 3 larger ones. But anyway, I was very impressed with this palette. I'm not big on face palettes anymore. I've just kind of moved away from them. Not really for any reason. I just feel like I tried so many and everyone has their own and they're all pretty good that it just became overwhelming and I was like, I'm done. But this one was really, really nice. One thing to keep in mind with CoverGirl powder products like this and with their shadows, I'll talk about in a second, is that they have this quality to them. It's like a very thin powder, but it kicks up these like little balls of powder sometimes that can really mess your face up. Or like I was playing with all of this on my vanity and it was a mess with all of these like balls of powder. They're not really balls, but it's like little clumps of powder. That's the word for it. Clumps is definitely a better word for that. I feel like this was really nice though. Despite that, when I go in with a brush and not my finger, because obviously that's how I'm probably applying these, I thought it did a really nice job. The bronzer had more punch to it than I thought. The blush was like kick you in the teeth strong. Like it was very, very pigmented, but really pretty. But you have to go in with a very light hand. And I really liked the highlighter too. I feel like sometimes drugstore highlighters can look kind of metallic-y and not in a good way, but I actually think that looks nice. It's certainly glowy, but it's not so crazy that you don't even want to try putting it on because you know it's gonna look crazy. It's really, really nice. So I was very impressed. Definitely recommend this if you're in need of any of these products. What a great thing to even travel with because you have all three, boom, and it's not like a giant palette with like 6 options. I like that it's 3 and they're very becoming for my skin tone. I think if I could change one thing, it would be, I wish this blush was a little more muted, but honestly, I still like the way it looks, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm willing to overlook that. And really at the end of the day, I guess that's a good problem to be too pigmented. I don't know. All right, so the eye primer I used today was actually another drugstore one. I used to have the CoverGirl lid lock primer, eye primer. I wasn't really impressed with that, so I'd gotten rid of it and I didn't want to buy it again because I'm like, so I'll put a picture of that on the screen. It's okay. I've heard some YouTubers actually really like it. I guess I didn't think it was anything special. And so I'm like, well then, so that's why I got rid of it and that's why I don't have it. It's okay. I would recommend the one I used today, which is the Essence I Love Color. I think that one is fantastic. And actually I think it's cheaper than the CoverGirl one. So there you go. And I know Ulta sells it. So the eyeshadow palettes, I have 4 of them here. I've played with all of these, but I definitely have some favorites. For a while, the first one I tried of this line of theirs was their Peach Punch. I think they sent it to me a while ago and then I think I bought it and then they sent it to me like a week later. I'm like, of course. So I kept the one I bought and then passed on the other one. But this one has actually a nice peach scent. I think I like this peach scent better than any of the other palettes, I know. But I thought this one was okay. But then I tried some other ones that I like even more. So I think this one's good. I'll show you some swatches. Again, it definitely gets those powder clumps that I was telling you about. But I think this one's decent. They also have this really fun, colorful one. Still not my favorite because it's not my cup of tea, but I was shocked by how well these swatched. This is one of those palettes that is perfect if you're like me and you know you don't use color a lot, but maybe every once in a while you might put like a little pop of color on the lower lash line, or maybe just every once in a while you want to play with color. This is the perfect palette because it's actually decent and you're not spending a ton of money on it because you know you're not going to use it much. So I think this is awesome, awesome. Now, my 2 favorites, however, my favorite is the True Naked Sunsets. This one I've recently been playing with. I'm really impressed with these shimmer shades here. Oh, the first time I swatched them, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. These are some of the best shimmer shadows I've ever tried from the drugstore, some of. They're just gorgeous, and they're colors that I know. I was gonna say cup of teas. I've got to stop saying that, you guys. But they're colors that are totally up my alley. Oh no, another phrase I use too much. But I love them, and the only thing I wish this palette has, which when I was getting ready, I used some of these shades, but then I needed like a medium brown because these are a lot more punchy there on the right side. So that is when I reached for this other palette that I really like, their True Naked Chocoholic palette. And this one, again, beautiful, beautiful colors, but I really needed that medium brown, which they have here in the palette. So I put that in my crease. And then in the outer corner, I used the darker, almost brownish black color next to it. And I just feel like all together the look really came together, but I really did need both of these palettes to do that. So I wish I could like combine the best of both and make a Jessica Braun CoverGirl palette. I was very impressed. I think that in all of the palettes, there's like 1 or 2 shades that maybe aren't as nice as the rest, but you know what? I really do think these are pretty decent, and I think it's rare to find good palettes from the drugstore, especially these big brands. I feel like Milani has great eyeshadow palettes we all here on YouTube talk about because they really are good, but they are $20. Now again, you can find them at Walmart for like 15, which is great, but 20 bucks is still expensive. You can get these for a little bit cheaper, and I do think they're pretty darn good. But like I said, the two I like the best are the Sunsets and the Chocoholic. I think those are their two best. Now, I tried 3 different liners. I put on 3 different liners today, which is not really that abnormal for me because on a day that I have the time, I put on a pencil, then a cream or gel liner, and then a liquid liner. I know it's overkill, but that's just what I do. And boy, my liner does not move. But I tried this for the first time this week, their Ink It liner. When I swatched it at first, I was like, ooh, it's pretty black. It's a retractable liner. But when I would try to put it on my upper lash line, I just felt like I had to work really hard to get the color on. At first, like the first few times I used it, it was easy as cake. But I feel like I have to warm it up every time. And again, there are plenty of drugstore liners out there that I don't need to do that with, that I'm like, I just can't put my stamp of approval. I think this one's just okay. I really love, it's not retractable, but it's my favorite, the Milani eyeliner pencil. I'll put a picture of it on the screen and I can link it below. I talk about that one a lot because it's so good. You think I was sponsored by Milani, I'm not. They make some really good products that they're just so great. And that is my favorite. I have one almost gone in my everyday makeup drawer right now. So not a big fan of the Ink It, it's okay. And then their cream liner, same thing. I even dug really deep to see like if I could get to a part that was a little bit creamier. I just felt like this was a little bit waxy and hard to move. And I am a total snob about gel liner. Like Maybelline makes a great one and so does L'Oreal, and this one does not even compare. It's very, very waxy, and like I said, I dug deep to see if I could get to a creamier portion. It was still the same. I just couldn't quite get a black enough line like I like. I kept having to go back over it and it would kind of drag, and so again, not a huge fan. I'll continue trying it maybe a couple more times, but and then I tried their Perfect Slice liner. This is one of those roller wheel liners that have kind of gained some traction. When you swatch it on your hand, you're like, wow, that is some serious precision. It's literally a wheel that rolls the liner on. Now you have to continue to re-dip it, of course. Boy, this is gonna take some practice, because at first I literally put it on and I was like, oh my gosh, it makes like winged liner so easy, but the filling in of the little wing is where this gets tricky because it's such a thin line. I'm going back and forth and I don't have as much control as I normally would because I'm not used to using this kind of a thing to kind of fill in that area, that it proved to be really difficult. I think this is still cool and I'm still gonna keep using it because I think it's pretty nice, but I just need to get better at using it. So there's definitely a learning curve here, but I think it's a good liquid liner. So mascara. I dug this one out of the grave. And by dug it, I mean I went out and bought it because I had tried this long ago. It's the Covergirl Super Sizer Mascara. I tried it long ago and I remember being so surprised that I actually really, really liked it. And when I used it again, I was like, yep, I still like it. The reason I'm surprised I like it is because it has a really weird brush. It's very rubbery, plasticky, and I usually like more like natural kind of bristle brushes, not this kind. But this is so weird because it has like a comby part where you can comb through your lashes. But then if you flip it, there's almost like bare wand where there's just product on it, where you can really add the product and then turn to the comb and comb through it. It's kind of genius the more you think about it, and it actually works. Now, the one downside to this is I feel like it can look very crunchy very quickly. So you have to, I don't think you have to work crazy fast. I think you know what I mean. It really stays in place, but it definitely gets a little like crunchy looking. But it's really good. It really curls. It really volumizes. It does it all. But just know that there is that slight like fake feeling or fake look to it, if that makes any sense. But I do really like this, and I'm so glad I have another one because I forgot how good it was. Let's talk lips. Okay, I have some misses and I have some ones I really like. So here we go. I'm gonna start this whole section off by saying I don't think Covergirl is my favorite lip brand, and I don't know that it ever will be unless they changed a lot. Let me start with one of the examples I don't like. They have their Melting Pout Matte. These are supposed to be like liquid lips, except for you guys, you guys know I'm not a big fan of liquid lips, but I still know which ones I like and I know what to look for because I wore them for years. These are very, very thin, but they are not comfortable, which again, a lot of these kinds of things aren't. So again, it's willing to forgive, but they're like weirdly almost like see-through. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you continually pile it on and it's still, you can still see through them. It's really weird. So I just don't think these are great. I don't use them. Honestly, once this video is done and live, I will probably declutter these to pass them on to maybe a sister if they want them. I don't even know, because I just don't think they're good. Now, let's talk about some that I really like. What I'm wearing on my lips, I put on their CoverGirl Exhibitionist lip liner in the shade Cherry Red. Their lip liners are weirdly hit or miss. This one I think is beautiful. It's definitely a pinky red, but I think it's really creamy. It stays in place. And the other ones I think are pretty decent are the shades Caramel Nude and Plum Partner. However, they have, the other four I have are awful. They're like weirdly like see-through. I'm like, well, that's not what I want in a lip liner. I need a lip liner to provide a line, a border on the outside of my lips. So like the first one I ever swatched was Marvelous. Look how see-through that is. So I kept going. That's about as dark as I can get it. How is that a lip liner? I was amazed. So then I was like, well, maybe it'll look okay like if I fill out the outside and like fill in all my lips. No, it really didn't look good. So, and of course it was just kind of dry because when you fill in your whole lip with lip liner, it's not always super moisturizing. So not a fan of that. And then the other ones that I thought were just like meh were Garnet Red in the nude, and Rosewood was kind of borderline because this is, I'm like, oh, that'd be an everyday color. I thought it was pretty decent. Actually, no, that one's pretty good. It's certainly better than that one. So maybe I'll move Rosewood to my pretty good pile. But again, these are not my favorite drugstore lip liners. I think L'Oreal makes really, really nice ones I can link below that are more pigmented than this and just a little more trustworthy. But I did think Cherry Red is nice. The lipstick that I'm currently wearing is from their like normal lipstick range. It's from their normal lipstick range, but it's in the, they have different finishes, and this is one of their demi mattes. And it's in the shade Worthy. And I'm gonna put a little bit more on. I feel like it's a very, very, very creamy formula. It almost has this pull to it, but as long as you layer it, it looks really pretty. And I really do like this color. Now, these are dangerous lipsticks because they are so creamy. I feel like they can tend to wander outside the lips, or especially for me, that's why I kept checking. I feel like it goes outside of the middle, especially when I'm drinking water and talking. So it's something that I don't know that I would trust this. If I were at like a really important event, I wouldn't trust these lipsticks for that. But if I'm just filming or if I'm just going to the store and I just want some lipstick on, I think these are great. But does that make sense? They're not trustworthy lipsticks. Another shade that's pretty, but it's too light for me is Honey Bloom. Look how pretty that color is. It's just too light for me. My lips are too pigmented. And another shade, this is their cream line, and Honeyed Bloom was cream as well. This is Bombshell Pink. It's so fun. I think their cream line is the better line of all of them. I need to get a red from them in their cream line. Especially I'm getting out of the weather. My throat is so dry. I just had like a horrible coughing fit. Sorry, I have a cough drop now because my throat is so dry. I'll try not to be obnoxious with it. We're almost done. So one that I don't recommend are their metallic lipsticks. I have two shades just as an example here. This one's in Love Me Later. This has pure silver glitter in it, like glitter chunks, and I'm like, nope. That is the recipe for disaster if your lips are even slightly dry, or if they have like lines in them like most of ours do. It just accentuates all of them. This one actually, it's called Ready or Not, and this is one I'm like, oh, but it'd be so pretty at the holidays. So this is one I think I'm gonna keep, because do you see how much more creamy this is than that one? Like this one is just slightly better. So if I were to recommend a singular one, it would be the shade Ready or Not, because this is one that I'm like, oh, like that's actually really pretty for the holidays. So I think I'm gonna keep it. Maybe wear it on Christmas. These lip glosses I wanted to love. These are the Katy Kat glosses. Awful. These are awful. I told you, and I know I feel like I'm like crapping on CoverGirl, and I'm not meaning to, because I do, like I said, I do have quite a few loves, but I just don't think lips are their forte right now. And I'm sure obviously they're working on it, but I just don't think it's their forte. So these glosses, I think I've talked about, look how freaking cute. I mean, come on, why can't these be good? So this is the shade Tabby Tease, and I just felt like I had to keep going back and forth and back and forth. It's like it's like so much work to get it on your lips. It's not worth it. And then this shade is Cantaloupe. And the more I've tried these, the more I'm like, this is too much work. So I think these are really sticky. They're hard to work with. They're just not a good gloss. I don't know what in the world, who tried these and thought, yeah. Like, did Katy Perry try these and think, yeah, I want to put my name on that? Like, another product I wanted to touch on because I talked about a while ago, I did a video trying these CoverGirl TruBlend Matte Made foundations. I still think these are really, really nice, and I love that it's a way larger shade range than most drugstores offer currently. However, they still, you shake them up, and they still leave these little like white dots all over my face, like so noticeable to me. I mean, if I'm maybe 2 feet from someone, are they gonna notice it? No, but every single time I've worn these, every single time, no matter how much I shake them, no matter how I apply them, the little white dots appear everywhere. And I'm like, I can't, it's not worth it. Again, I've got too many good foundations that while I do like the finish, I can't deal with it. So if you've tried this, did you find a solution? Do you not even see it? Maybe it's only in certain shades. I don't know. It's so weird, but I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, I really like it, but I don't feel like dealing with it anymore. So I think I'm gonna pass those on once this video is done. So if I had to pick a few products that I'm like, yes, I 100% believe in these. I think they are fantastic. You should buy them. I would definitely recommend their Vitalist Healthy Elixir. Like I said, if you have the right skin type for it. Oily skin, I don't think I would recommend it for you, but otherwise, I think it is a beautiful everyday foundation, easy to use, foolproof. The other recommendation I would have are their brow products. I love especially this pencil. This one, I don't know what it is about it, like I said, but I highly recommend. Like I said, I'm buying numerous ones and I've tried so many expensive ones. I have NARS ones currently. I think this one is better. I would recommend their palettes. I think these are nice. Like I said, every shade is not 100% amazing, but most of them are really, really nice. And if you find a color story you really identify with, I think it's worth buying at least one of. And like I also mentioned, that color one I think is really cool if you just want some pops of color, but you don't want to buy a really expensive palette for that. I also would recommend this mascara, the Supersizer. I think they now have Supersizer Fibers and Supersizer the Big Curl or something like that. I just like the original. I think it does a really nice job. So highly recommend that. And then I also would recommend their little sculpting palette. I was very surprised. I gotta be honest, I was ready to not like this. But I think the pans are big enough to get your brush in there safely. And I think all three products are really, really nice. And I was very blown away by that. So everything else I think was kind of like, it was good, but those are like my top ones that if there was like a buy one, get one half off sale like Ulta does all the time, and you were wanting to delve into it, those would be my highest recommendations for the brand. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful in your pursuit of finding the best products out there. If you would, I'd love for you to subscribe to catch more of these kinds of videos. Let me know what other drugstore brands you want me to do a full face, best and worst of. I would love to. I've tried so much from so many brands, and this is a great way for me to kind of pull it all together and talk about them. So other than that, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.